Hey YouTube! Right, so there's this mixed girl tag, and I've read the questions before, and I've actually started writing a post about it, but I just got a bit too, I don't know, mad for me to answer, but I thought I would give it another go. So let's go. Number one, what do you mix with? Seems like a simple enough question, but for me it's not. That's because growing up I was told I was black and Filipino. That's what it was. And then there was this thing, like some of my sisters would say, oh no, we're black and Filipino and Chinese and Spanish. And I'm like, I don't want to say all that because I don't actually know. Because once when I told my friend Steph, who's Filipino, she said, well, most Filipinos can say that because, you know, there was the whole colonial thing happening, and then there was the invasion and the Chinese and the Spanish, and so it's in Filipino heritage. And so I was like, all right, I don't want to just say like I'm everything. There are those mixed people who are like, I'm German, I'm French, I'm black, I'm, you know, they're everything. And I'm just like, so I don't know. So I would just say black and Filipino. Then I speak to my dad, who actually says that his mother, who was born and raised in the Philippines, her mother was Chinese, or was Chinese and Filipino, and her name was Kimming, and her father was Spanish, or Spanish and Filipino. I don't actually know. So whatever, on that side, on my dad's, I suppose it's African American, Filipino, Chinese, and French. Then my mom would just say she's black. That's how my mom identifies. That's what she would say. But recently, my mom has went and paid for I think it's Ancestry, and I don't know how precise those are. I don't actually know if she sent like blood samples to find out, but I got a text from her with those results, and they are, let me just pull it up, 25% from Cameroon, Congo, and southern Bantu peoples, 25% from, is it Benin, Togo, 14% French, which that's the one thing that my mom would have said other than black, because her mom was from the Creole people, which is French and African American, or French and Native American. I actually, what I thought before I read this was that on my ma's side we were African American, French, like from the Creole thing, and Choctaw Native American. And I've been so proud of that Native American for all my life. Some people, they'll call me Pocahontas, where I've gone on my travels, and I'm just like, yeah, Choctaw, you know. But seeing this, 14% French, 12% England, Wales, and northern Western Europe, 11% Ivory Coast, 3% Mali, only 3% Native American, and 3% Irish and Scottish. I can't remember who that is. It might be a great grandmother or something. Can you see? She's lovely. But so I don't know, to that first question, what am I mixed with? I guess all that. Next question. What ethnicity have you been mistaken for? So I've gotten Hawaiian quite a bit. Yeah, that's pretty Hawaiian, Samoan, something like that. When I first went over to London, I got Chinese a lot, but I think that's just what they call anyone who looks a bit Oriental. Is your hair curly or straight? My hair curly. It's always been curly. I used to straighten it, but ride or die curly. Was coming from different backgrounds challenging growing up? That's a great question. Yes and no. So I'll say I grew up in Union City because I did, but before I lived there, where my dad lived, I'd stay there a lot of the time. And when I was there, it was more challenging. I saw more of like, let me just explain the stories. There was a time when my sisters and I got into a huge fight. We got in a brawl. I was 6 years old. So the story goes, me and my two sisters are playing outside. We lived in a complex, or my dad did, and we're playing outside there. And I remember these two girls walk past. I'm 6. I'm gonna throw that out a lot. So I don't really know what's going on from that viewpoint. I'm looking up at the clouds. I'm in a different world. What I do recall is that the two girls start whispering in each other's ears, and they're looking over at my sisters. And the next thing I know, these two girls and my sisters, or one of my sisters, they're kind of shouting at each other. She's like, booty ho, and this right back. So whatever. We keep playing whatever we're playing, and the next thing we know, these two girls return. But they've got maybe 10, 15 other women with them. And when I say women, I do literally mean women. I don't mean she went back and got some homegirls of the same age. Like, she brought her mother, she brought her cousins, she brought her aunts, and they're out there and they're trying to fight us. And then my sisters are like telling me to run, and we're like, what is going on? So we're running and we're running, and we run into the house and tell my dad, like, they're trying to fight us. And my dad's like, oh hell no. You don't run away from a fight. So my dad basically told us put some jeans on, because I have a little dress on, nice little shoes. He put some jeans on us, put our hair up. He goes out there expecting to see, I suppose, some young girls, but he sees women his age. So my dad, being a diplomatic person that he is, tries to reason with these women. Okay, let's talk, what's going on. And the mothers say to him, no, we want to fight them Chinamen. We want to fight them. So now we're Chinamen, and they're trying to fight us for, I suppose, that reason, because I don't know. But basically, so next thing that happens, because we've got a big family, and as I've just told you, we're all mixed up. So my dad rings some of our cousins who have browner skin than us. So it was a bit of a, they're not Chinamen, but we had a brawl. I remember standing my family face to face with their family, like, just complete ghetto madness. I'm, again, 6. I'm sitting there just like, la, 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 in the front lines. For some reason, I'm standing in the front. And this little girl who's a lot bigger than me, she comes up, she goes, I'll slap any one of them. And she slaps me across my face. And I just remember not seeing stars, but I just remember seeing black, just completely, like, I've never been hit in my life. I've got all these siblings, we might play fight, but no one's ever smacked me. I don't come from abusive parents. No one's ever smacked me like that. So I started crying. My cousin picks me up, and I'm like, put me down. And he puts me down, and my family used to tease me because I don't know if I had like the right hooks and that to fight the girl, but I just come just beating her in her face, and then my sisters jump in, and there was this whole huge brawl. So that was the first kind of challenge that I saw at being maybe in this, you're black but you're not black to some. So those were the challenges. But when I moved to Union City, it was very, very diverse, and I didn't have any of those same kind of struggles. Obviously, I think with a lot of the mixed race people in Union City, our struggles were more trying to prove that you are black, and whatever that means. So I almost got in a fight on the first day of high school for the same reason. Like, it was African American history, and we had to get up and tell about our favorite things, and I was just being hella I don't know. I don't even know why I was doing this, but I basically got up there and I was like, my favorite thing is my Pro Style gel. Even though I did use it a lot at that time, that was more of me just trying to show that I am black, and that was my way to do it. And then there was this girl who we're friends now. She half black and white herself, but her and this other girl, she's so tall. I'm like 5'1", she's like 5'11". They tried to fight me at school. I'm just like, oh my goodness. So those were the challenges. It's that identity thing. Where do you fit in? How can you be yourself without getting into trouble, or all of that was a struggle for me. And then on the other end, I had a lot of Filipino friends when I was in high school, and sometimes they would say things that were like, maybe like almost that they forgot that I had a bit of Filipino in me as well. But it's hard because I didn't grow up on the cusp. So I didn't grow up with like knowing the Filipino side, because my Lola, who came from the Philippines, I never actually knew her, and all of her kids, like my dad and his siblings, they all were in different homes. They were in a different care, and so they didn't all grow up in the same home. So there were no Filipino traditions that I learned. So I was more, what I had grown up with was my mom. My mom was black. My mom identifies as black. That's how I identified. What background do you embrace the most? I think I answered that partially, but I will say that from traveling, so I left my own country for the first time in my life in 2010, and I've pretty much been gone ever since. Like now I'm even living in Dublin, so I don't live back home. But one thing that struck me from my travels is every single country, I'm not exaggerating, every single country that I've been to, I run into a Filipino person and they look at me with familiarity and they'll say, "Filipina?" And I'm like, yeah, my dad or a part or something. So that like just they can feel that with me, and I can see, I know when someone's Filipino, I swear. At the same time, I do feel the strongest community with my sisters, black women. That's me, you know what I mean? But secondary, also mixed. I understand mixed people understand me. Have you ever been teased for being different? Gave those stories already. But okay, on that question, I do want to say sometimes because maybe my looks can be ambiguous, or because some people don't know what I am, I have been caught in a like, sometimes where people will talk about, for example, black people, or even will use certain words, and I'm like, do they know that I'm black? Have you ever been ashamed of being multiracial? Hell no. Do you feel like being mixed has its benefits? Yeah, I do. It's that feeling of community outside of just one. Everyone is special, everyone has their purpose, and I feel like for most mixed people, a bit of their purpose is bringing this kind of understanding and this kind of inner community. I think that is probably the biggest benefit and the reason why there are these mixed people. What makes being multiracial a beautiful thing? I think I just said it. Advice to someone who struggles with multiracial identity. You're beautiful. You're fab. You were made as you are. It doesn't matter. Embrace that. Like, just embrace being you. Alright. This mixed girl tag was super fun. I know mine was long, but I hope that you stuck through and watched it, because it's probably a bit interesting hearing all these stories. Alright. Love you all. I'll see you soon. Bye.